Um, Yesterday I had a conversation with someone that really upset me. And I sat to think of the reason why it bothered me so much. And the discussion we're having um, was about a sentence that our former president said, Haitian president, said in a situation in which he was being interviewed about him cheating on his wife. And I don't remember clearly what it said. I don't remember clearly everything that was said in that particular interview. But what I took from it was that, the interviewer asked him if he did not feel bad about his wife's feelings and his wife suffering. And his response to that was that it's better that she suffers instead of him suffering, right? It's better if she suffers instead of him having to suffer. I'm guessing he's referring to his suffering as not partaking in, what he wants, not doing what he feels like doing. And, to him, that is obviously more of a problem than not actively inflicting pain on others. And when I shared that with someone, and that person told me, hey, that's fair. It's fair, even if in the situation that's not a good phrase to use in that situation. But this idea that it's better that someone else suffers instead of me is is actually fair, right? And it really caught me off guard, because I really don't think that the first thing this person would say was to agree with the sentence, because that wasn't the discussion I was trying to bring. What I was trying to let's say focus on is his indifference towards the pain. So, as I was saying, I think what I wanted to show was that he was being indifferent to the pain of someone else and the pain that he is inflicting. He didn't care about the repercussions of his actions. And then we kind of went around about, the person was telling me how I was focusing on the bad thing, not seeing what she was trying to say, because she was saying that her point was not that she agrees with what he's saying, but that the phrase, the sentence he said held some truth to it, but the circumstance in which he used that phrase was not good. And to me, I guess it kind of bothered me, because I just maybe couldn't believe that that would be the first response that she would give me, regarding something so blatant. And whether the phrase was somehow true or not had no relevance in what I was trying to show, how his blatant disregard for, his blatant disregard for the repercussions of his actions. And I just couldn't, I'm like, how is it that this is the first thing that you say? Or why is it that this is? So she would tell me, why are you focusing on what is not? This is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the phrase is true, but he shouldn't have used it in that circumstance. And I was like, okay. So I just stopped the conversation. Then I kept on thinking, why does that bother you so much? Why does it bother you? Why does it bother you? And I guess it bothered me because I also do not agree with the phrase. I gave it some thought to try and analyze what the phrase meant. So because she asked me the question, so you would rather suffer yourself? I'm like, what? This is not even about me suffering or the person suffering, because pain happens. You go through pain throughout life. It's just inevitable. So it's not that I would like to suffer, but this is not the discussion at hand. And then as I'm telling you, I spent some time like thinking about it, and I thought, why is it that this bothers me so much? And as I was saying, I also think that the phrase itself doesn't align with my values, maybe. And I said, is that true? I tried to break it down to see what is it that the phrase mean, or is it me that perceives it that way? So to say it's better that someone else suffers instead of me is to say that it's okay for other people to suffer as long as it's not me. And I don't think that's good or I don't think that is okay, because they're still suffering, it's not that I would want to suffer. I just don't want anybody to suffer, I don't want myself to suffer, and I don't want other people to suffer. It's like, for example, I have this chronic condition, and sometimes it's tough, sometimes it's not too tough, sometimes it's just okay, and I've learned to live with it. But when I think of it, when it happens, I'm just okay with it. Okay in the sense that, I would want to feel relieved. I would want for the pain to disappear. I would want for my condition to improve, or for it to even, for this problem to disappear altogether. But I also wouldn't want someone else to have it in my stead. It's not like I would be okay with someone having it. I know other people have it and some people suffer with it, but removing one pain and transferring it to someone else wouldn't seem a plausible, or let's say a good option, because someone is still suffering with that. For example, if we're talking about a disease, let's say it's a contagious disease, or let's say it's not contagious, but if I don't have it, then that means someone else would have it. That's still not a good option, because one person is still suffering. It's not my pain, but their pain is impacting their world, their communities, and potentially even my world, but not in a way that I would see it, right? For example, let's say I'm sick, let's say that person is sick, and because of that, they have to use many doctors at once to try and work on her case. And then I get through something, I become sick for something that is less let's say, less important or less dangerous than their condition, and then it might be difficult for me to find a solution at the time, because everybody's just focusing on their condition, their problem, which is much more dangerous or much more a bigger threat, let's say, for the community. So their situation is impacting me in another way, but that's not something I'm going to find out. I may never know about that. I may die and never know. The point being, that may not be a great example, but I hope I have conveyed what I was trying to convey. So the thing is, all sufferings are sufferings, you know what I mean? And they all impact the world. All of them impact us. But I think there's a small difference between how you see this other suffering and your own suffering, right? And yeah, so I guess that's it. That's it. It's not good that someone else is suffering. I'm not suffering, and I am grateful that I do not have anything. But if something comes my way and it's not good, and I think one thing when you go through certain pain is that you realize how much you wouldn't want other people to go through the same. So I guess that's it. That's why it bothered me so much. And it also bothered me because maybe that's just also my value, my way of seeing things. But she doesn't have to see things the way I do. It's just that this one felt really strong to me because it's such a bad thing. You know, it was such a bad thing.